think about a skyscraper, you're probably picturing concrete and steel, right? But what if I told you the most important building material today isn't something you can even touch? We're diving into the digital foundation that's changing everything about how we build. You know, every single one of these incredible structures, whether it's a massive skyscraper or a sprawling bridge, doesn't start with a single shovel hitting the dirt. Nope, it all begins with a plan. A blueprint for success, where every single detail is mapped out for precision and efficiency. But life happens, right? Reality can throw a real wrench in the works. So what happens when something totally unexpected comes along? You know, like a global pandemic, a supply chain that just stops, or a sudden change in regulations. It can hit a project like a wrecking ball. And the numbers here, they are just staggering. A big report from PwC found that when these major disruptions hit, a whopping 46% of construction projects face major delays. Let that sink in for a second. That's nearly half of all projects in danger of just stopping completely. And we're not talking about a small hiccup here. This is way more than a minor inconvenience. These delays and the insane cost overruns that follow, well, they add up to a massive billion-dollar problem for the entire global economy. It really shows you the cracks in the old way of planning things. Okay, so take a look at this. It really puts the problem into perspective. In a normal world, about 14% of projects run into these huge delays, which is already a lot, right? But when a major disruption hits, boom, that number jumps to 46%. It more than triples. It just goes to show how fragile the old school planning methods really are in today's world.
So the big question is, how do you fix this? How do you build a project that can actually withstand these shocks? Well, the answer isn't more concrete or more steel. It's something else entirely. It's a digital blueprint, a whole new way of using tools to get things right from the very beginning. And right at the heart of this new approach is a tool called the Construction Cost Estimator. Now, this isn't just some fancy calculator. Think of it as a financial crystal ball for a building project. It looks at everything, materials, labor, permits, all the equipment, and gives you a forecast of the total cost to get from an idea to a finished building. And what's really cool is that this isn't just for the giant construction firms. Not at all. It's for almost everyone involved. You've got homeowners figuring out a kitchen remodel, contractors trying to win a bid, architects checking if their cool new design is even possible, and yeah, even the banks who are lending the money. It's kind of becoming the universal language for planning any project, big or small.
Okay, but what does it actually take to build a piece of software this complex? You know, something that can juggle all those moving parts. Well, it turns out the rules for building a solid digital tool are surprisingly similar to the rules for building a skyscraper. So that begs the question, right? What are the architectural principles of a digital tool? What really makes software strong and reliable enough to be the foundation for a billion-dollar project? Let's break this down. On one side, you have the classic principles for building a physical structure. It's got to be durable, functional, and of course, safe. Makes sense. Now look at the other side. These are the principles for digital architecture, things like reliability, decoupling, and designing for change. The parallels are pretty wild, huh? Both are all about being resilient and ready for whatever comes next. Let's zoom in on one of these, decoupling. It sounds technical, but the idea is simple. In a building, it's like having a modular wall that you can move or replace without the whole roof caving in. In software, it's the same idea. You build the different parts, like the calculator for materials and the one for labor, as separate pieces. That way you can update one without breaking everything else. It's all about building in that flexibility right from the get-go. But of course, there's a catch. You can have the best, most perfectly designed tool in the world, but it's still only as good as the person using it. And this right here is where the human element comes in, and where things can still go very, very wrong.
So let's talk about the common mistakes. The first big one is what experts call opaqueness. Basically, the estimate is just a black box. You get a final number, but you have no idea how it was calculated. There's no transparency. And if you can't see the details, how can you possibly find a mistake before it costs you a fortune?
That leads right into the next major pitfall, underestimating labor. It's not just about getting the hourly wage wrong. It's about misjudging the complexity of the work, all the logistics, the timelines, the coordination. Get any of that wrong, and your budget can be completely blown before you've even poured the concrete. And finally, the big one, limited risk estimation. This is all about failing to plan for the what-ifs.
What if there's a flood? What if a key supplier goes out of business? A good digital tool can help you budget for these possibilities, sure, but it's still up to a human to actually think of them in the first place.
So, to avoid all these mistakes and get a truly accurate estimate, these tools need data. A lot of data. Especially location data, right? I mean, the cost of lumber or labor can be totally different just one city over. But here's the thing. That location data, it's like a digital fingerprint. And with that kind of power comes a whole lot of responsibility. And there are strict rules for this stuff. Just look at GDPR in Europe. You can't just grab someone's location data. You need their explicit, yes, you can use this consent. You have to be crystal clear about why you need it. And you're only allowed to collect the absolute minimum necessary. This isn't just a friendly suggestion. It's a legal and ethical line you cannot cross.
Okay, so let's pull back and look at the big picture for a second. This one tool, this cost estimator, it's super important, but it's really just one piece of a much, much bigger puzzle. It's part of a huge digital shift that's completely rewriting the rules for how we build, well, everything.
Just look at this. On one side, you've got the construction site we all know. It's familiar, right? But on the other side, that's where we're headed. A future where tech isn't just some extra gadget you bring to the site, it's the actual brains of the whole operation, the central nervous system. And listen, this future isn't some far-off dream. It's happening right now. We're talking about AI that can predict delays before they happen, drones that survey vast areas with incredible accuracy, tiny IoT sensors on equipment to keep workers safe, and yeah, even 3D printers that can create entire parts of a building. And all of this leaves us with one final, huge question to think about. The tools we have always define the kind of world we can build. So, if the digital tools, the very blueprint of construction, are changing this fast, what are our cities, our homes, and our entire world going to look like in just another decade? Not 50 years from now, just 10.